Hello everyone, we've got a really good GCSE question here on frustums and shapes. So it says, the diagram shows a frustum of a cone and a sphere. The frustum shown shaded in the diagram is made by removing the small cone from the large cone. The small cone and the large cone are similar to each other. The height of the small cone is h and the radius of the base of the small cone is r. The height of the large cone is k times h and the radius of the base of the large cone is k times r. The radius of the sphere is r. The sphere is divided into two hemispheres, each of radius r. Solid A is formed by joining one of the hemispheres to the frustum. The plane face of the hemisphere coincides with the upper plane face of the frustum as shown in the diagram below. Okay, so let's just go down to it. There it is. Solid B is formed by joining the other hemisphere to the small cone that was removed from the large cone. The plane face of the hemisphere coincides with the plane face of the base of the small cone as shown in the diagram below. So basically that's an extremely fancy way of saying they basically chop a bit off the top of this cone, they cut this sphere in two, they glue that bit on the top of there, and this bit that's been cut off, they stick the other half of the sphere to it. Okay, so far so good. So we get those two shapes like that. And then it says the volume of solid A, the big one, is 6 times the volume of solid B, the little one here. Given that K is greater than the cube root of 7, find an expression for H in terms of K and R. Wow, what an intriguing question. So let's have a look at this and think about what we're going to do. So first of all, I'm going to write down an expression for the relative volumes of both of the expressions, both of the shapes. So let's write down an expression for the volume of A. Okay, so first of all, we're going to think about how we're going to find an expression for the volume of A. Now, the volume of A, what is it going to be? It's going to be the full cone, okay, and the formula for the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. So that's going to be 1/3 times pi times by the radius, which is kr squared, times the height, which is kh. So that's the volume of the big cone before anything was cut off. Then we had the little cone, the small cone was cut off, and the volume of the small cone was 1/3 pi r squared h. So that's the volume of the small cone. So big cone minus the cut off bit. But then remember, we have glued on or stuck on one of the hemispheres. And the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So the volume of a hemisphere is going to be 2/3 pi r cubed, like that. Okay, so that's our expression for our volume of shape A. Now let's have a look at the volume of shape B. So I'm going to write down here volume of B. Now there's something very important that we need to note here. It says, right at the end of this question, it says the volume of A is 6 times the volume of B. Now this is really important. It means that if we want to put these two expressions to each other, we need to times the volume of the smaller shape by 6 in order to be able to put it equal to the volume of the bigger shape. Okay, that's super important. So if we're going to put them equal to each other, it means that the volume of A is equal to 6 times the volume of B. Okay, so what is the volume of B then? Well, the volume of B is half of a sphere, so that's going to be 2/3 pi r cubed. So 2/3 pi r cubed, okay, because it's half of a sphere, which is 4/3 pi r cubed, plus the little bit of the cone that was cut off, the small cone. And the small cone was 1/3 pi r squared h. So that's our expression for shape A equals shape B. So I'm hoping that if we kind of boil this whole thing down, we're going to be able to find an expression for h in terms of k and r. So let's think about, now it looks to me like, notice that every single thing is divided by 3. Every single term is divided by 3. So we can times every single term by 3. And also notice that every single term also has pi in it as well. So we're going to do two things, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out pi and I'm going to times by 3, okay? So that means all of those dividing by 3s are going to go from every single term, and pi is going to disappear from every single term as well. Because when something's common to every single term, you can cancel it out. Let's see what we're left with then. So when we do that, we're left with kr² times by kh minus r²h plus 2r³. Okay, that seems reasonable. kr² minus r²h plus 2r³, and that is going to equal 12r³ plus 6r²h. Okay, so that's what we've got now. So all I've done is expanded that, times that by that, and times that one by that one. So now let's see what this is. So we've got kr², so that's going to be k² r² times kh, which actually is going to simplify further because k times k is going to become k³ r²h. So that whole thing simplifies into k³ because k² times k makes k³. And then we've got minus r²h plus 2r³ equals 12r³ plus 6r²h. So that's just copying down each of those expressions from above. Now let's see what else we can do. I'm going to take that pi r²h and add it over to that side. So I've now got k³ r²h plus 2r³ is equal to 12r³ plus 7r²h, because it's 6 add 1. I'm going to take now 2r³ off both sides. So that's going to give me k³ r²h is equal to 10r³ plus 7r²h, because what's happened here is 12 take away 2 is 10. Okay, we're getting there now. So the next thing to do is to take everything with a h over one side. So I'm going to take this across to the other side. So I now have k³ r²h minus 7r²h is equal to 10r³. I'm now going to factorize out the h. So h k³ r² minus 7r², close bracket, equals 10r³. And then finally, I'm going to divide by this bracket here. So that's going to give me that h is equal to 10r³ divided by k³ r² minus 7r². And then as my last step, because as a common factor of r² can be cancelled out of every single term, then that gives me that h is equal to 10r over k³ minus 7. And that is our final answer, okay? And that is really encouraging, because that basically must be the meaning of the fact that k is greater than the cube root of 7, because basically if you rearrange this by setting it equal, this has to be positive, because if this is not positive, you end up with a negative height for the cone, which makes no sense. So if you rearrange this, so we're basically saying that this has to be greater than 0. So k³ minus 7 has to be greater than 0, otherwise you get a negative height for your cone, which makes no sense. So then you add 7 to both sides, which gives you k³ must be greater than 7. And then when you cube root it, look, you get that expression there. So the fact that we've got this in the denominator is a huge indicator of the fact that we are on the right tracks. And in fact, that is the correct answer. I just thought that was a super interesting question. Very, very useful one to look at, I think, dealing with frustums and cones and, yeah, this kind of process I know students find complicated. Okay, well, I hope you found that helpful. Remember, if you're finding these videos useful, if you could remember to subscribe to the channel, that's going to help me make more videos moving forward. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.